not that you guys care, I mean, I don't know, but I literally have the worst migraine right now, so I'm not going to drink. Maybe that's why I have a migraine, because I'm not drinking. But today's case I had never heard about before. Somebody had mentioned it to me, and I was like, why have I never heard about this case? So once I started looking into it, I was like, I have to do this case. I have to look into it. So today's case is the disappearance of Kristine Kupka. So Kristine Kupka was very smart. She was attending Baruch College. She was studying philosophy. She had plans to go to law school afterwards and become a civil rights attorney and work on women's rights. She had also started the school's philosophy club, and at the time of her disappearance, she was 5 months pregnant. Kristine was pregnant with her off again, on again boyfriend, Darshanand, who went by Rudy Prasad. And they had met because Rudy was an adjunct professor where she was attending school and in her class. And so after the class was over and they had liked each other, they started to see each other. And after seeing each other, at some point, Kristine got pregnant. This is where her problems with Rudy kind of began. So on October 24th, 1998, Kristine Kupka was last seen alive when her boyfriend Rudy had come to her house. He was seen by her roommate, and they were going to go out for the day. So Kristine called her sister. She said, hey, I'm going to go see an apartment that Rudy has in Queens. Her roommate states that she did not take a lot of things with her when she left, kind of just like a few things, because she was only going to go and then come back for the day. Around 12:30 p.m. when Kristine left her home of 200 block Westminster Avenue in Brooklyn, New York, with Rudy Prasad, was the very last time Kristine Kupka was ever seen again. When Kristine got pregnant, her and Rudy started to have a falling out because Rudy had told Kristine he did not want her to be pregnant. He was not happy about the situation. He even tried to convince her to get an abortion. And afterwards, Rudy had confessed to Kristine that he was married. And that was the reason why he did not want to have a baby, because it was going to ruin his life. It was going to ruin his marriage. He, at one point, even told Kristine that, he was a Guyanese immigrant and his parents were very strict and that they would disown him if she carried the baby to term, and that's why he wanted her to have an abortion. And understandably so, Kristine was upset because here she is, excited that she's pregnant, thinking that potentially her and Rudy would start a family, start a life. And he breaks it to her that he's actually married and he does not want to have a family with her. At one point, her roommate claimed that Kristine told her she was afraid of Rudy, and that if anything ever happened to her, it was Rudy. Rudy was the one that did it. Kristine had also told her family and friends that she had taken a break from Rudy, but at some point they start reconciling when Rudy came to her and told her that he had been kicked out by his wife, and that, he was kind of renting or crashing at his cousin's house. And at that time, which is close to when she disappeared, he started to be a lot more supportive of her and the baby, even planned out baby names, and was just starting to be there for her when he initially didn't want the pregnancy to begin with. Before her disappearance, Kristine had called Rudy's wife, and she said that his wife was angry and threatening, and understandably so. I mean, if somebody calls me and is like, hey, I'm having an affair with your husband, but not only that, I'm having his baby, I would be upset too. I'd be like cussing this person out, wanting nothing to do with this person. Like, who is this girl that's even calling me? Like, understandably so, right? But according to Kristine, the reason she even called his wife was because she wanted Rudy to be involved in the child's life. And she thought that it would be best for the child if had both of his parents or her parents, and it would be a lot better for their emotional health and well-being in general. So There's not too many theories that I read on what could have happened to Kristine Kupka. One of the major theories that I was looking and most people believe, is the one I believe, is that Rudy Prasad had something to do with her disappearance. And the reason for this is because her pregnancy was ruining his life. It was ruining his marriage. It was ruining potentially his relationship with his family. It was just all coming down for him. And we've seen this before where people panic and they think that, you know, if they're having an affair or something, or they think that the easiest way is to get rid of their wife or get rid of their mistress. And I can see how Rudy could have potentially panicked and thought that the solution to his problem was to get rid of Kristine and the unborn baby. I also think it's weird that all of a sudden he was being supportive and he was trying to be there for her when initially he didn't want the pregnancy. He had told her to get an abortion. So I think it's weird that he became supportive close to the time that she disappeared. He also picked her up from her apartment and she was never seen again. So he's the last person that we know was with her. According to Rudy, he said he picked her up and that he took her to like a shopping center and waited in the car while she shopped, and that he dropped her off around 2 to 3 blocks away from her apartment between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. because she stated that she wanted to go to like a health store or something that was around, and so that's why he didn't drive her all the way to her apartment. When Kristine's family questioned him like, oh, what shopping center did you go? What time? Where did you guys go? He said he didn't remember where he went. And like, how do you not remember? I mean, I currently live in Boston and it's a big city, and if I went to a mall, I would know what mall I'm going to. I don't know. I think it's suspicious that he's like, oh, I don't know where I took her. And it was not even that long ago, especially if he waited in the car. I don't know. Rudy was only questioned once by the police, and shortly after, like a couple of days after he was interviewed by the police, he retained an attorney and he stopped doing interviews. He stopped cooperating. That was it. That one statement that he gave to the police was it, where he's saying that he just dropped her back off at between 3 to 4, 2 blocks away from her house, and doesn't know what happened to her afterwards. Rudy has never been charged with anything relating to the disappearance of Kristine Kupka. He maintains his innocence till today. Last I read, he was living in Tampa, Florida. He was a dentist with his family. And so I think, and I don't know, right? But I think that he did something to Kristine. I think that he panicked. I think that he didn't want this to ruin his life, and he thought, let me just get rid of her. If I get rid of her, I get rid of the baby. The problem is solved. I think it's weird that he didn't know where he took her, that he was the last person to be seen with her, and he has no answers. According to the police, during their one interview, he was evasive, and he also didn't have an alibi for what he did the rest of the night. So that's really sketch. Like I said, I could see a scenario where he panicked and tried to get rid of his problem by doing something to Kristine and getting rid of her and the problem. Maybe he killed her and buried her somewhere. I don't know. I just think that sounds like the most likely scenario. Another theory, which is of course still possible, is that Kristine ran away. This seems unlikely, but it's possible because we don't know what happened. But she was close to her family. She was excited to be a mom. She had been preparing for this. She had made appointments with a midwife. She had called her sister and told her where she was going. She didn't take much things like her roommate had said when she left with Rudy that day, so it seemed like she was planning on coming back. So if she was going to run away, I mean, you would think that she would take more stuff with her. She had plans for the baby. She had plans to go to law school. It seemed like she had a lot of goals for herself. So it just doesn't seem probable that she ran away. The police have stated that they continue to look into what could have potentially happened to Kristine Kupka. They also stated that they believe she was the victim of a homicide. I believe that as well. And like I said, I have no proof, but I believe that Rudy had something to do with that. The only kind of, not lead, but break or something that happened was in 2010 when detectives went to a shop that used to be owned by Rudy's family. And in the basement, they realized that the cement was not the same. There was an area of cement that looked different from the others. They also had a cadaver dog there who had sniffed out what seemed to be human remains. However, nothing came from the search. They didn't find anything. But that's not to say that there is not something there. The family has also never stopped looking. When she disappeared, they were questioning neighbors. They've been trying to get the word out there about what could have happened to Kristine. They hired a private investigator, who this private investigator went out publicly and said that he believes Rudy Prasad was involved in the disappearance of Kristine Kupka and potentially her death. There continues to be advocacy for her Facebook pages for Kristine Kupka. I hope that we find out what could have happened to her, because I feel like with these disappearance cases, it's always so hard because there's no closure. You know, I can imagine how hard it must be for families and friends and loved ones who are like, what happened to her? Is she alive? Is she not alive? Is she hungry? Is she cold? Is she able to sleep somewhere? Like, I can't even imagine what her family's going through, and I'm sure that they want closure just as much as we want to find out what happened to Kristine. And I think that if Rudy was involved in her disappearance or potential murder, that we find out soon, because this dude is living in Florida. He gets to go on with his life, his career, like nothing happened, while Kristine, potentially her life ended that October. You know, her baby's life, and her family doesn't get this closure of knowing what could have happened to Kristine. So if he had something to do with it, I really hope that we find out and he can pay for it. But the case remains unsolved. No one knows what happened to Kristine Kupka. I don't know if we'll ever find out. I hope that something comes up. I hope that the more that we talk about it, we can find something that happened. We can find a clue. We can anything to, even if, I'm sure even her family would want to know what happened, even if she's dead, even if she's alive, just to know what happened and finally put a closure to this. But that's it, guys. This was the disappearance of Kristine Kupka. I hope you guys like this video. If you do, give it a like, give it a subscribe. If you want to see any cases next, just leave a comment. Tell me which ones you guys think I should cover. I have some plans, but I always take recommendations. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.